everyone, welcome back to Cottoverdi. If you're new to my channel, my name is Annette and we garden here in South Buckinghamshire in the UK. It's equivalent to a Zone 8A. Now today is a really blustery, rainy day. It's pouring with rain, but I am standing under a shelter outside my kitchen, so I'm a little bit protected from the rain. So today's video is all about different perennials that we can plant into our garden in the autumn, and I'm going to go through each variety that I've chosen and why I've chosen it, where I'm going to plant it, and I'm going to show you how they've arrived, because I've ordered them as plug plants because it's way more economical to do it that way. So I'm going to show you how they've arrived and the quality, and then I'm going to let you know what I do with my plug plants usually if I don't plant them straight out into the garden. So I'm standing here outside the kitchen door and I'm facing the other way now. So behind me here are a load of pallets, and this is where we keep all our plants whilst they're waiting to go into the borders, and this is where I'm going to be putting all of these plug plants once I've potted them up. So as I said, autumn is a really good time to be planting things into our borders because the soil is still warm from the summer, and so the roots have a really good opportunity to sort of spread their wings and bed in before the cold hits them. So it gives them a really good start in life, and that's why I like to plant a lot of perennials at this time of year. Now we can also be growing things from seed, but I like to get a head start with some of the things and plant them in the ground. Now you're probably wondering why I'm planting these up into pots and not straight into the garden. So if you're new to my channel, you may not know that I have loads of dahlias in the garden. I planted over 350 dahlias this year. So those dahlias are still in the borders, and I should get another 3, maybe 4 weeks before our first frost. So I've still got quite a lot of flowers to come. So I don't want to dig the dahlias up yet. So some of the spaces where these perennials are going are currently occupied by dahlias and other annuals, in fact. So I've got, Nicotiana and snapdragons and scabious and all sorts of other things in the borders. So I'm going to let those carry on growing and put these plug plants up into pots, and then once I've cleared all the dahlias and all the other annuals, then we'll be popping them into the borders, and I will film that process. So subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see where the final positions are going to be for all of these perennials. So as I said, on Saturday I roped Richard into helping me pot these up so that we could get it done really quickly, because I had loads of plug plants. So I'm going to go through those now. I'm going to go through each variety and give you information about them, pop a picture up on the screen. I always put the name and the picture up on the screen and the size that the plant gets to, just in case you are interested in that particular plant, then you've got some information to be getting on with, and maybe you could find it yourself in a garden centre or online. The first plug plants are Gypsophila rosenschleer, which grows to 50 centimetres tall and 40 centimetres wide. I don't know if you can see all the buzzy bees around this sort of cloudy, frothy mass of pale pink, tiny little starry flowers. So these plug plants came in 5 centimetre containers, and I'm potting them up into 1 litre containers because I really do want them to root in the next month or so before I plant them out. So they've got really good root systems. I think they've been in these little containers all summer, which is why they've managed to grow such fantastic root systems. The ones that were in my garden that I just showed you have been there for a couple of years, so it's taken them a while to get to that size. So I think these ones are going to take a little while again to grow to that size, and I'm planning to plant them underneath some trees, but also at the front of some borders, because I really do like that sort of frothy style. I think they mingle in with other plants really beautifully. You'll also see that for all of these plug plants, I've already written the plant tags. I put plant tags in with all my plants in the garden so that it's easier for me to remember what each plant is, like specifically each variety. So I always tag my plants, and what I like to do is when I place an order, I write the tags there and then so that I've got them ready for when I either plant them in the garden or when I pot them up like this. So the Rosenschleer variety of Gypsophila is shorter than other varieties, only growing to about 50 centimetres when it's in flower, and these tiny flowers actually start off white and then they take on this pinky blushy tone as they mature. So you tend to get a combination of pink and white throughout the season, because some flowers are maturing whilst others are just starting. And as you can see from these little plugs, they've got lovely branching stems, so you do get this really nice mound or cloud of froth, and it looks really gorgeous. Now they tend to flower from mid to late summer, and then once they finish flowering you can cut them back to ground level, and it is possible to divide large clumps in the autumn. So if you've got some really established plants, you can definitely divide them and make more for yourself or for friends. These next Gypsophila are Gypsophila repens, and they are called Philo rose. And these are a creeping Gypsophila, so they're very low to the ground, growing to 15 centimetres max. They'll spread to about 25 centimetres wide, and you can see that they came as much smaller plug plants. So I'm just putting these up into 9 centimetre containers. That's about a 3-inch container. They're really easy to pot on, and because these are quite small, I would not plant these straight out into the garden. I would always have potted these on, even if I had space in the garden already. They've got a really good root system actually, and I'm breaking it apart a little bit as I pot each one on, just to encourage the roots to spread out a bit into the containers. So that's the reason you're seeing me sort of breaking off the bottom and just sort of messing with the roots a little bit. So Gypsophila repens or repens, these are mat forming semi-evergreen perennials. They've got this lovely dark green foliage and then small star-shaped pink flowers throughout summer. So very similar shape and size of flower as the Rosenschlier that I had, and I'm intending to put these at the base of a plum tree and then at the front of my dahlia border. So they're really good for border edges. They're also great for pots if you want sort of a creeping mat forming perennial in your pots. I think it would look really nice, a little bit like Saponaria. These next plug plants, these are, just look at those root systems, they're absolutely huge. These are Echinacea powwow white. This is an Echinacea purpurea, but it's a white version. You can see they've got those lovely yellow centres, and these root systems are incredible. I think, again, these have just been growing all season, and I'm buying them at the end of the season, so they've created really good root systems, but the supplier hasn't potted them up, which is why they're able to sell them quite economically to me, quite cheaply. I think that this is a really good way to buy perennial plug plants. I'll just put them on into 9 centimetre containers again myself and grow them on for a bit, and then I'll be able to plant them out into my borders by probably November, whilst hopefully the soil is still quite warm and once I've cleared all the dahlias. So Echinacea powwow white has got these brilliant white flowers with broad, almost horizontal petals with those central orange cones, and all Echinaceas do best in full sun, but powwow white apparently is also going to be happy with a little bit of shade. I'm planning on planting some of these in my grass border. These next plug plants are gorgeous wallflowers. This is an incredible wallflower. It's called Erysimum Bull's Mauve. So the Bull's Mauve variety grows to 45 centimetres tall and 60 centimetres wide, and it just has the most incredible mauve flowers. I used to have some of these in my front garden, and I think they got weeded out or something happened because I have lost them. But these are exceptionally long flowering, brilliant perennial wallflowers, so they're going to come back every single year. Now I'm planning to put some of these into our corridor bed where the Astrantia Roma are just taking over. So I want to take the Astrantia out, and then I'm going to replace it with some of these because I think those pops of mauve are going to be absolutely gorgeous. I also think that this mauve colour is going to look really nice with the Coco Loco Rose that I've got in the bottom border. So I'm definitely going to be adding some down there as well. And I've got 12 of these plants. So I think that it's a really good number for me to be able to spread them around the garden. So again, these plug plants are quite small, and I think I'm going to pinch them out because they seem to be just single stems. I'm not pinching them at the moment as I'm planting them. I'm just going to pot them up into these 9 centimetre containers. These next plugs, look at the root systems on those. I mean, they are sprouting. The roots are actually sprouting because this is how Achillea grow or yarrow grow. They just spread through their roots. So all of these plugs have been grown on for so long that they're just desperate to spread their wings. So they're definitely going to form really nice big plants for me next year. And this is Achillea summer berries, and I have got some of this at the moment in the bottom border down by my Cox's Orange Pippin apple tree, and I think they look really pretty down there. So the summer berries mix includes pinks, oranges, coral, red and purple, and it does mix really well with ornamental grasses, but it also looks equally good in borders and in gravel gardens, and it's really good for cutting. So if you wanted something that you could add as a filler in your bouquets, then this is your yarrow is a really good option. So summer berries is going to grow to 50 centimeters tall, and it will spread to about 60 centimeters wide. Although I have found in my experience that quite often, because of the way the roots run, that they do spread a little bit more than 60 centimeters. If you're enjoying this video, then do give it a like, because it really does help me. And if you have any questions at all, then pop them in the comments below and I will get back to you. I try to get back to every single person who writes a comment. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, then do subscribe to my channel, because I'll be creating loads more videos over the coming seasons showing you my garden and what we're doing in it. This next plug is another yarrow. This one is called Pretty Belinda, and it again grows to 50 centimeters tall and 60 centimeters wide, but this one is an excellent strong pink achillea. The flower colours tend to strengthen as the flowers age, which gives you this really pretty two-tone effect where you've got the pale pink and the darker pink, and I think that it's going to look really fantastic in front of the yews outside our bedroom. Again, these have got really strong root systems, so you can see here that I'm cutting the roots with my secateurs because I was finding it really hard to get my thumb in there to break the roots up, and it is quite important with something that's root bound to break the roots so that we stimulate more growth and stimulate it to sort of spread out a little bit more. Otherwise they just tend to wrap themselves around each other. So with these I was just cutting them in various places with the secateurs. Now if I wanted to, I could actually divide these yarrow, because you can clearly see where there are, you know, maybe 3 or 4 different plants or different sprouts in each bundle, and so if I wanted to, I could just prise these apart and separate them, but I don't want to do that. I actually want to start off with quite, you know, significant clumps, so I do want them to be bigger plants next year, and the best way to do that is to start off with a larger plug, which is what I've got here. These next plugs are a festuca called Elijah Blue, which is a fescue grass, a blue fescue grass. So these grow to about 30 centimeters tall, a bit taller than that actually once they've got their seed heads on top, and about 25 centimeters wide. So they don't actually form enormous clumps, they're quite compact. But the best thing about these is they're an evergreen ornamental grass, and they have this gorgeous greenish bluey, silvery bluey needle-like leaves. When they get lots of sun, they have a better colour, so they are best planted in full sun if you want that really vibrant blue colour. Now I've got quite a few of these on the grass border, but I lost some of them. I don't know whether they were just too small or they didn't get enough water, but I have lost a few, so these actually are to replace the ones that I've got in the grass border. So I'm going to grow them on for a little bit, and then we'll pop them into the grass border towards the end of autumn. Now we move on to the Brunneras, which is a Siberian bugloss. This one is called Alexandra's Great, and I do have, I think, 2 of these in the front garden. I used to have them in pots outside the front door, and then I moved them into the border because I thought they would do better in the border. These have come as large plugs, again with really good root systems that I'm having to break up with secateurs, but you can see how they've come with also loads of foliage. Like there is quite a significant number of leaves. These are nice large plants. They've come in 5 centimeter pots, and I'm just pushing them up again into the 1 litre containers, and I'm going to grow them on a bit before I plant them out. So the Alexandra's Great are going to be planted out in the raised bed outside our family room, which I don't often show on this channel because it's not particularly well organised, but I had a lot of hostas in there and they just got decimated by the slugs and snails this year. So I've decided that I don't want hostas there anymore, and I'm going to be planting Brunnera because I feel like the Brunnera will withstand the onslaught of the slugs and snails a lot better. So Alexandra's Great has got larger than average foliage. It's highly patterned, as you can see. It's a fantastic ground cover, and it's really good for like illuminating the cool, shadier spots in the garden. And it has these gorgeous sprays of blue flowers that are a little bit like forget-me-not flowers, and I think that's really pretty. And Alexandra's Great is going to grow to 45 centimetres tall and 60 centimetres wide. This Brennera has come as slightly smaller plug plants, but that's fine. I knew what I was ordering. This is a Brennera called Sea Heart. It grows to 30 centimetres tall, so it's considerably shorter than Alexandra's Great, but it still grows to 60 centimetres wide. So that's like 2 foot wide. It's got, again, the same gorgeous heart-shaped leaves. It's a lovely, low-growing ground cover. The leaves have got this gorgeous silvery pattern, the same as Alexandra's Great, and they also have the same pretty little forget-me-not-like blue flowers, although I do think this one's got slightly richer blue colouring. And these are going to go in exactly the same spot. They're going to be intermingled with Alexandra's Great outside our family room, and I will show you when I plant these out eventually. This next plug plant, these are called Meloa Apple Blossom. They are a monarda or bee balm or bergamot, and they've got incredibly solid root systems. I'm having to break them apart with secateurs again because I couldn't get my thumbs in there. But these have got gorgeous apple blossomy, so very soft, pale pink, feathery flower heads, and they flower from midsummer right the way through to autumn, and if you don't deadhead them at the end of the season, then they form really interesting shapes through the winter months, and I think it's really nice to leave those seed heads on there. So these are going to be planted, or some of these, because I've got 12 of them, are going to be planted in my Queen of Sweden border, which is where I've got these lovely David Austin roses, and it's looking a little bit formal at the moment, so I want to soften it with something like the bee balm, and these will form really nice clumps that will be lower than the roses, so the roses will still stand out, I think. And then the rest of them are going to go intermingled into my dahlia border. So I'm really looking forward to having some of these pretty pale pink flowers in the garden. These next plug plants are called Caryopteris, which is a bluebeard. This particular variety is sterling silver, and it'll grow to 45 centimetres tall and 60 centimetres wide. Again, you can see they've got really good root systems, so I'm just going to give them a little tug to invigorate the roots to grow a bit more. So Caryopteris are lovely upright bushes, and they've got a really nice aromatic silvery grey leaves. This one has got mid-blue coloured flowers, and it's going to flower through August and September, which I think is really nice to have the blue flowers later on in the season, because a lot of my blue flowers are at the beginning of the season, and these are going to go in with the erisimum, the wallflowers, the bulbs mauve wallflowers, into the corridor bed to replace the astrantia that has got out of control. Now that everything's been potted up, even if you are planting them in flower beds into your borders, it's really important to give them a water in, and this is because you want to make sure that all the roots are touching compost or soil. So by watering them in, we're making sure that that compost sort of nestles in around all the roots, and that way they won't struggle to get any moisture and to grow. But that's it for today. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and watching Richard and I pot up these plants in super fast speed. I hope I've given you all the information that you need if you're interested in any of these particular perennials. Anyway, as I said before, if you would have any questions at all, leave them in the comments below and I'll definitely get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.